A cross A to B is a binary operation, then it satisfies the condition of the following. In that the first one is f is said to be a commutative whenever f of a comma b is equal to f of b comma a, where for all a comma b belongs to the set A cross A here. So the second condition is f is said to be a associative. F is said to be a associative whenever B is a subset of A here, and f of A comma f of B comma C is equal to f of A comma B comma C for all A, B, C belongs to the set A here. F satisfies the condition of the associative, that if it having a B is a subset of A, and f of A comma f of B comma C is equal to f of A comma B comma C, where all A, B, C belongs to the set A here. And the third one is an element X belongs to A. An element X belongs to A is called an identity element. An element X belongs to A is called an identity element for F whenever f of A comma X is equal to f of X comma A equal to A, for all A belongs to the set A here. An element is called an identity element for a f whenever f of A comma X is equal to f of X comma A equal to A, for all A belongs to the set A. For example, suppose f is a set of a z cross z to z, defined by f of A comma B equal to A plus B, for all A comma B belongs to the z cross z, is a binary operation on z. Is a binary operation on z. This operation is closed because here the set B is equal to A only. That's why. So for this operation, first we check an f of A comma B equal to f of B comma A. We know that f of A comma B equal to A plus B. Similarly, f of B comma A equal to B plus A. That B plus A is nothing but the A plus B. A plus B is nothing but f of A comma B. Therefore, f of B comma A equal to f of A comma B. This operation satisfies the condition of the commutative. Therefore, the operation is called a commutative here. Now come for the associative. Also for the operation f of A comma f of B comma C is equal to, consider this entire term as a B, A and B, that is A plus B. Now keep this A as it is. For this term, again apply the given function. Consider this one as a A and this one as a B, that is B plus C. Now come for f of A comma B comma C. Consider entire this term as a and this term as a B, that is A plus B, that is f of A comma B plus C here. F of A comma B, again apply the definition of the function, that is A plus B plus C. So that satisfies the condition of the associative. So next we see the operation called on the identity function. For the identity, for all A belongs to Z, consider f of 0 comma A. F of 0 comma A means 0 plus A, as it is f of A comma 0, that is A plus 0, that is equal to A, that is also equal to A. So both are nothing but the same here. Therefore 0 is called a identity. 0 is called a identity for a function f. Now consider a function z. Now consider a function z of z cross z to z, which is defined by g of A comma B equal to A minus B here. This function doesn't satisfy the commutative and associative here, because g of A comma B equal to A minus B, g of B comma A equal to B minus A. both of which are not, a minus b is not equal to b minus a for all a comma b belongs to z here. Therefore, condition is not satisfied. Now come to the another one. Now check out the associative law, that is g of a of g of b comma c. G of a of g comma b, consider this one as a and this one as a b. A minus b, that is equal to a minus of g of b comma c, that is b minus c, that is equal to a minus b plus c. Now come for g of a comma b comma c. G of a comma b comma c, consider this one as a and this one as a b. A minus b, that is the g of a comma b minus c. G of a comma b equal to a minus b minus c. A minus b plus c is not equal to a minus b minus c. Therefore, associative law will not be satisfied here. Now come for an identity element. Suppose x is your an identity. If an identity x for a g, we have g of a comma x is equal to a, and similarly g of x comma a equal to a, means a minus x equal to a and x minus a equal to a. But a minus x, then a minus x is equal to x minus a. This is not possible because a minus b is not equal to b minus a. So, a minus x is not equal to x minus a, which is not possible, which is not true, which is not true. Hence, there is no identity. Hence, there is no identity element. Hence, there is no identity element for the function g, which is defined by g of a comma b equal to a minus b. So, which is not satisfy the commutative, associative, and there is no identity element for the function g. Now, see the examples here. Find whether the following closed binary operations f and g. Find whether the following closed binary operations f and g on a z are commutative and associative. In that, the first function is f of a comma b equal to a plus b minus 3ab. Second one is g of a comma b equal to a into mod b. So, come to the first one. Solution of the first one. Suppose f of a comma b equal to a plus b minus 3ab. Then f of b comma a equal to b plus a minus 3 into b into a. Both are nothing but the same here. Therefore, f is commutative. Come for the associative f of a comma f of b comma c. A comma b. Consider this one as a and this one as a b. A comma b means a plus b minus 3 into a into b. 3 into a into b. Now again a plus f of b comma c, that is b plus c minus 3 into b into c minus 3 into a. Put a bracket here. F of b comma c, b plus c minus 3 into b into c. Open the entire bracket, a plus b plus c minus 3bc minus 3ab minus 3ac minus of minus plus 3abc. So 3 into 3 is 9abc. So that a plus b plus c minus 3bc minus 3ac minus 3ab plus 9abc. So that is the required. So that is the result of the f of a comma f of b comma c. Now come for the f of a comma b comma c. Consider this one as a and this one as a b. So f of a comma b equal to f of a. Sorry, f of a comma b equal to a, that is f of a comma b plus b minus 3 into a into b. So f of a comma b equal to a plus b minus 3ab plus c as it is minus 3 into c. Put a bracket. F of a comma b, a plus b minus 3ab. Open the entire bracket, a plus b plus c minus 3ab minus 3ac minus 3bc minus of minus plus 3 into 3 9abc. So again it is satisfies the associative law. Both these two functions are equal. Therefore f is associative. Therefore f is associative. Now come for the second function, that is g of a comma b equal to a into mod b. Then g of b comma a equal to b into mod a. But a into mod b is not equal to b into mod a for all a belongs to z. For example, suppose a equal to 3, b equal to minus 1. Then 3 into mod of minus 1 is equal to 3. Because mod 1 is again 1, that equal to 3. Then b into mod a equal to b equal to minus 1. Mod a equal to mod of 3. Minus 1 into 3 is minus 3. Therefore 3 is not equal to minus 3. Therefore a into mod b is not equal to b into mod a. Now consider a associative law, g of a comma g of b comma c. Consider this one as a and this one as a b. A into mod of g of b comma c. Again a into mod of g of b comma c is nothing but a b into mod c. That is equal to a into mod of bc. Second one means g of a comma b comma c. Consider this one as a and this one as a b. That is a into, that is g of a comma b into mod of c. Again apply the definition, g of a comma b is equal to a into mod b into mod c. That is nothing but a into mod of bc. Therefore g is associative. Therefore g is associative here. Come for the next one. Next example is, let f from a cross a to b be a binary operation. Be a binary operation. If f has an identity, if f has an identity, prove that the identity is unique. Identity is unique. So come to the solution here. Suppose f is a function from a cross a to b is a binary operation. If f has an identity, then we have to prove that the identity is unique here. So come to the solution here. Consider, let x1 and x2 be a two identities. x1 and x2 be a two identities for all A belongs to the set A. We have f of A comma x1 equal to f of x1 comma A. Let x1 and x2 be the two identities. Then for all A belongs to A, we can write f of A comma x1 equal to f of x1 comma A equal to A. Similarly, f of A comma x2 equal to f of x2 comma A equal to A. By taking A equal to, by taking A equal to x2 in, call this one as equation 1 and 2. In 1, we get f of x2 comma x1 equal to f of x1 comma x2 equal to A. Similarly, by taking A equal to x1 in 2, we get f of x1 comma x2 equal to f of x2 comma x1 equal to A is nothing but the x2. Here the A is nothing but the x1. Therefore, from these 3 and 4th equation, f of x1 comma x2, f of x2 comma x1, f of x1 comma x2, f of x2 comma x1, both are nothing but the same. Therefore, from the 3rd and 4th equation, we can find x1 equal to x2 here. Therefore, the two identities are equal. Therefore, the two identities x1 and x2 are one and the same. One and the same. Hence, the identity is unique. Hence, the identity is unique in this function. So, next one is the pigeonhole principle. The pigeonhole principle. So, this principle states that, you can take it as a statement. The pigeonhole principle states that if m pigeons occupy n pigeon holes, if m pigeons occupy n pigeon holes, and if m is greater than n, then two or more pigeons occupy the same pigeon hole. If m pigeons occupy the n pigeon holes, and if m is greater than n, then two or more pigeons occupy the same pigeon hole. To understand the statement, I give one example here. Just assume that suppose you have 10 chocolates. Suppose you have 10 chocolates. 10 chocolates. And you have to distribute these 10 chocolates. You have to distribute these 10 chocolates among 8 childrens. These 10 chocolates we have to distribute among the 8 childrens. Suppose if you want to distribute 10 chocolates among the 8 childrens, consider this as a m and consider this as a n. Here m is greater than n. If m is greater than n means if you have a number of chocolates more than the number of childrens, then two or more childrens get the more than one chocolate here. If you distribute 10 chocolates, if first you distribute for each children, you give a one chocolate, and you will left it 2 more chocolates. You have to distribute these 2 chocolates again to the children's, means either any one child is definitely get a 2 or more chocolates here. So that is the meaning of the statement of the fission hole principle. Already know the fissions. If you have a m fissions, consider you have a 6 fissions. You have a 6 fissions and you have a 4 fission holes. You have a 4 fission holes. I am just considering it represent the fission holes in terms of the circle. You have to distribute these 6 fissions among these 4 fission holes, means 6 fissions occupy the 4 fission holes. Then at least one fission hole must contain 2 or more fissions in it. Suppose if you distribute a 1 fission here, I am just representing the fission like this. So if you distribute a 1 here and 1 here and 1 here, and I distribute the 3 here, and I distributed a 1 and 2 here, and again I will occupy the one more fission in this fission hole. So at least one fission hole will be have a 2 or more fissions in it. That is the meaning of the statement of the fission hole principle. Yeah. On the same one more example is, suppose we have a 10 students. Suppose we have a 10 students. Those 10 students we have to made to sit in a 9 desk. We have to make them into sit into a 9 desk. Then 2 or more students have to sit on a single desk. If you distribute each student to the each desk, one more student will be left. We have to make us sit on that student into a 1 desk. Means at least one desk will be having a 2 students. At least one desk. That is the meaning of the fission hole principle.